It's been a while, but we're back with some basic blasters looking to squirt you with a little water from the Ydrilan Riverblades. Here tonight, your host Robert Viscomi, Girth Demon, joined with Kyle Knapp, who's the Great White Nope. And we're
Yep.
here to educate you on how to play the newest box as a one box to the best of your abilities. And I think we're just going to be swimming upstream with the Ydrilan Riverblades. That might be the title. I'm pretty sure it is.
It's 100% the title, but yeah, been a while. Excited to get back into this, and I'll kick us off. Honestly,
Yeah, let's
honestly,
go.
these guys are pretty cool. I know they got a lot of hate because people wanted them to be Idoneth instead of Lumineth, but basically the warrior monks of the realm lords. I mean, you've seen mountain folk, you've seen wind folk, you've seen stone folk, and now they're like, we're gonna do river folk. So I'm sure we're gonna go see like lava folk at some point. The way this is going.
That'd be sweet.
Uh,
Not gonna lie.
but these guys, they're blessed by the river, and basically that influences how they fight, right? You know, they even train just like basically like Mulan, swift as a raging river, just bouncing around, hitting things left and right. And then if they fail, they basically fall in the river and die, and that's why they're hardcore.
For sure. I think they're really awesome in the fact that, like, I believe in the Pyre and Flood book. They were reading about they sensed a great river spirit that was in a Gur, and they're trying to like free it from like the rampages of like the wilds and stuff. And I think it was a pretty cool take on it instead of just being like we're here to clean Captain Planet style. And then putting it juxtaposed to like the ever burning soul fires of the Pyre Geist was like a pretty cool ability. It's a pretty cool book. I've gone through it. I do recommend if you do pick up the box, take a read through it. It's got some good art, some good stuff. But let's get to it. Let's get right into it.
So how do they feel?
All right, so we played them together, me and you, right? And I've
Yep.
played them a couple times. We had some people in league I watched run, three people to be exact. They have crazy speed, right? They have access to a strictly better rush. We'll talk about that later. All models can run fast, do damage while they're running, disengaging, or fighting. They have amazing leader options, but they fall to the poor elf profiles, right? So we have low health points, pretty low base damage with the exception of the leader, and they're susceptible to counter because they have a lot of attacks. They have some decent range too, but counter can absolutely just explode you. Vibes definitely some West Side Story. We're snapping, we're hop skipping, we're gonna little sharks and jets action going on. Really cool, expanding the story of the Ailmentari. It's another reason why I love Warcry. Just expanding on the cultures of the existing factions is really cool. The scopes are phenomenal. If you are a Harlequin player or somebody that wants like the very fluid leaping esque off things sculpts. They're right up your alley. They got a pretty low average toughness of 3 to 4, average strength of 3 to 4, average wounds 8 to 10. Average move is definitely fast though. It's 5. It's on par with Royal Beast Flayers, and their average warband size I believe is 10. The box has 11, but you can cut and kind of go from there and see what's going on. But I think it's a pretty swarmy warband.
Yeah, definitely swarmy. Like one thing I would add too, in terms of like the vibes having been on the offense against these guys, is they're a little bit gamblish too with how their reaction works, which we'll go over in a little bit.
Yeah,
But if you're a big brain gambler and like this team can really explode, and having
yeah,
that
for sure.
kind of higher average warband kind of lets you take that gamble more often than not. But no,
Yeah.
definitely fast, and that ping is not to be underestimated. But let's check out the stats because, to your point, they definitely suffer from the elf problem. That being said, there's ways to play around the elf problem as someone who plays beast players, which has that same 5 speed. That speed could really be used in your advantage to mess with your opponents. Um,
Right.
but just going into this, just some of their abilities. Once again, for those watching, we have X's and hearts and checks, right? Every ability at some point could be used for something. There's always a situation for it. We put
Mhm.
these in there just kind of highlight what our favorites are and what we think you'll be using the most when you're playing this team. But that being said, like just because there's an X doesn't mean like, I'm never going to use this, right? But the number one thing to talk about in terms of their abilities is their double Riverblades. It's a better Rush, straight up. It's one of their moves, just like Rush does. But every time you take an action other than the wait action, so this could be disengage, this could be move, this could be attacks. You roll a dice, 2+, you can ping something within 8 inches. Doesn't have to be the target you're fighting. Um, as long as you could see them, you could ping them. And as we know, anything that's armor piercing in this game is just awesome, right? And the fact that your little 65-point elf model that is just dancing around the board, just all right, here's a free 2 damage basically against T6 Stormcast, feels pretty good. I know it definitely was messing with my team because they're just like, oh, I'm at 2 life, I live to survive the attack, and you're like, I'm just gonna just move and kill it and not even think about it. It's just can be really, really devastating. Rapid. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, 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 it's cool. And like just to reiterate on what you were saying, the X's doesn't mean like don't use it. Like Rapid Rising, Leap, and White Crest Strikes are definitely niche abilities. White Crest Strike for the leader, and it's just gonna bump up your strength. Like you're just got better things to do. It's not gonna be too relevant 90% of the times. Rapid Rising Leap is on the Crest Dancers, which are the mid range guys that look absolutely stunningly awesome. Basically, it's just like a pseudo fly. They can't move vertically upwards more than 3 inches, which is okay. It's just GW. Please stop being weird with the movement stuff here. Just make all your like stuff the same height or something like that, so we don't have to worry about it. But I guess I understand it. But it's cool though because it gives you fly. You can sneak over something, get a sneaky, cheeky engage, or you could fly over something, steal a treasure, or take the treasure, and then like run back over somewhere. You can't fly with the treasure. It's kind of they're gonna have niche abilities and stuff like that. I know I'm a big fan of standing wave stance. I think that's one of the unique things. Access to everybody, and it's just gonna basically say you get one attack, one to your strength, and one to toughness for the rest of the round, which is pretty cool. So if you have a way like say you had a draft master, if we're talking allies or anything, we're allying in, you can, whip them, make them attack with increased stats. Like they're going to sit there with T5 because they only have 18 wounds on the leader. I think it's a pretty cool, like, we have to blow this up right now, but we give ourselves some survivability. With that being said, 18 life still disappears in a hurry. You got to be very careful when you utilize this. And the other triple is release the river, and that's what makes this leader absolutely unparalleled in order. Is it's basically another WOG or the changed version of Swift as the Wind for those who remember. For those who are new and just tuning in, learning this, what do those mean? Well, it's half the value of the dice. A 6-inch AoE gives half the value, rounded up, I believe, to the move characteristics of everything around it. So like your dude's already moved 5, you're gonna pump them up to move like 6, 7, 8. Like that's crazy. Like you're moving 16, wild. But it's really good with stuff that's like move 3, like Stormcast hammers, right? Like you're making them all of a
Or
sudden move 6.
dispossessed or flame seekers, right?
Dispossessed, flame seekers,
Anything dwarf,
anything, right?
yeah, makes it
Anything that's
so much better.
anything M3, anything that struggles with movement, it really just gets to a crazy point like new KO. You say you want to run the Spear Boys, put them in there, make them run fast, get to the point, and they can start doing what they want to do. Really just a fantastic ability. I think it's probably the strongest ability here. And Standing Wave Stance is cool because like this is all thematic, right? Like feel the power of the river, like the water just rushing and flowing, knowing when to stand and anchor down, knowing when to leap and rise. Like it's really cool. It's really stuff. You want to go over the quad because you go over the quad in the
So I actually really like the quad here. It's
it's
it's a
cool.
very
It's
unique
cool.
take on what they did with it. So in a normal rampage, you move the value of the dice and then you get an attack, right? Basically, this one states that your fighter makes a number of bonus actions, which could be a combination of any action available, right? Move, attack, disengage. Not sure why you'd wait like 6 times, doesn't do anything, but you're going to move, attack, or disengage. But it's equal to the number of fighters from that group that have been taken down. So if you have 11 fighters, odds are one of your group is going to have four. So if you have your leader in there, right, for example, got three chaff sitting around with it, those chaff die fighting a stormcast. Use your quad. Your leader then gets three bonus attacks of whatever, three bonus actions, whatever you need. So if you're engaged, that means you can make three attacks and then your two normal attacks. Or you can go move, 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 and move, 15 inches, and then move another 10 inches on your two extra attacks, right? Um, Definitely tough.
Cool.
Like if you get it on turn one, it's not going to matter. But turn 3, turn 4, this could be super useful. And my favorite part about it, value of the dice doesn't matter. That's my favorite thing about quads. When you see like, oh, I got quad 1, sometimes you're like, I wish it did more. This quad 1 does the same things as quad 6. It feels great from that standpoint. So
Yeah, non-value dice really kind of relieve a pressure off of, like, instead of I hope I get a double six, it's just I just need a double. I hope I get a quad five. Well, you just got a quad. That's it. And it's really cool, fun, thematic. Like if you're gonna take these guys out to your local game store, you're gonna split a box with your significant other or your mate. Like just have a good time. Like you're gonna have a really good thematic time with this. I think they got some cool stuff.
I mean, there's one
Lethal
more thing to
Dire.
note about that too, by the way, before we get to Lethal Gyre.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't state that they have to have the Riverblades rune mark at all. So
Right.
if you bring them in as an ally, you
Yeah.
could have anyone in that one group die.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you want to do something like super spicy, bring it with like Hexbane's Hunters, who has like those, little 55-point dogs with 6 wounds that die really easy. And suddenly you could set up Boiling Wrath way sooner, way faster, a little bit like little bit more consistent, if that makes sense. But uh, yeah, but Rob was going into Lethal Gyre, the reaction. This is what I was talking about earlier in terms of the gambling. Uh, Basically, replace this counter. And essentially, if your opponent attacks and misses on a 1, they take a flat 3 damage. And if you also have the Agile rune mark, that opponent that was attacking takes a flat 3, and then any other enemy within 1 inch of that person also takes 3. So, kind of a sick ability, just be able to run in there. You want to dump dice in this person, and you just do AoE damage on a little 65-point model. So it's pretty spicy, but it's definitely gambling versus guaranteeing on a 1, 2, or sometimes 3 to do that damage back. But then again, with your team having elf stats, and you're only T3 in a lot of cases, their opponent's hitting you on,
Ones and
3 plus
twos. Like,
anyway.
yeah, if they're hitting three pluses, like
Right.
ones and twos, like you might as well just say the ones are gonna do three damage anyway. And like it just makes you like you got some real cojones to just be like, I know you're gonna roll ones, lethal gyre, and then all of a sudden they're just like, oh, took six back. Like it's I mean, and sometimes they just wipe you out. So like counter is the more mathematically logical and sound thing to do because you're gonna often average more damage over the course of a game using it. But we're not here for that. We're here for playing the box. And if we're having some suspender boys in here, they're gonna lethal gyre their faces off, and
I
it's
mean,
gonna
it's
be
high risk,
awesome.
high reward, right? Because if
Sure.
your opponent you know, misses and gets 3 1s, that's 6 damage versus 9, right? Like so,
Right.
could go
I
from
mean,
just heavy damage to killing somebody.
magical, magical Christmas land for sure. But it's happened, and it will happen. And I mean, play and use with caution. Know that it's a high risk, high reward. Know that like it's it's gonna blow up. Sometimes it's gonna feel good. You want that endorphin rush.
Hmm.
So yeah, we basically want to prioritize the Riverblades for extra ping and the movement, right? It is strictly just an upgraded rush. Using it to, and you can also use the Riverblades if you're going to attack, roll the die, or disengage, roll a die, move, roll a die. It's great for picking off things. It's great for just putting some chip damage on stuff. And you're also going to use Release the River in opening up on long deployments, like in the Ferocious Gnarlwood. There's a lot of long board edge deployments. You can just run your dude and then have it echo the 6 inches between everything and try to hit stuff and just send them in. You just want to prioritize doubles and triples. That's what you want to do. And just to kind of go over it again, because it says what to do with triples, right? Opening deployment. We're going to make sure that we're releasing the river. It sounds way less cool than wogging. And we're going to release the river. And then basically, if we need to absolutely murder something and we are already engaged with something and we think we're going to die on a crackback and we get initiative, we'll just wave stance it. Wave stance also awesome if you were 2 inches away with the glaive, which we'll see in a second, and you have somebody in front of them, so you know you're not going to get the crackback, but you're set up to be protected.
Only downside of the team, release the river could have been cooler. Like open the floodgates, burst the dam. That's it. That's all we got.
Are we allowed to make R. Kelly jokes for this one? Because
Just
no,
gotta
no,
stay family friendly here. But let's go to the roles of responsibility. So the leader comes in 3 different formats here. You have a 1 inch range person who has objectively the highest damage. That 5-4-3-4, really sweet. You got the Seneschal, which is 5 points cheaper and the cheapest option you can bring, but has a nice 2 inch attack range that goes with it. And you get a really unique option here with the darts having that 8 inch, no minimum 4-4 profile 2-3, right? So all of them have standing wave stance. All of them have released the river. All of them can upgrade their strength by 1 on a double. So there's a lot of options that this team has, but the role of this person really depends what kind of list you're bringing it in with. I would say number one in most cases, they're the speed boost, right? They're the ones that are going to be popping the triple for release the river, get your guys out there, get them down the fields as fast as possible. But it's not unreasonable to say that, hey, I want my guy to be an assassin, right? Go the Seneschal with the Master's Blades, move in there, pop a double for strength. You're hitting 5-5-3-4. You're going to kill something with that for sure, right?
Right.
Or you could even say like, hey, I'm going to be a take all comers kind of person, go with the Warglaive and then just stand still, bump up your toughness to T5 and start slamming away at a 4-6-2-5 profile. So really depends what you're trying to bring, really depends what you want this person to do. And kind of one of the reasons I actually like this box and this leader is I could choose kind of how I want my play style to be. But any
Yeah,
comments on
it really tailors to the person's play style. I do want to say, because we are teaching you the basics of this, and we do want you to understand that it is a very fragile unit for the points. 205 points for 18 wounds 4T is not a
yeah,
lot.
it
So
is.
if you're not using the ranged guy or the 2 inch guy, you need to be very careful when you pick your moment to strike. Good news is you have 11 dudes in the box. You activate this guy last so he gets in there safe, start him up next turn with a nice fat triple, rip standing wave stance, and then like you're good to go. But you need to understand that this is not a super aggro first move. I'm throwing this guy in there unit. Like you want to take your time. You want to set him up in the right spot, regardless where you are. You have a little bit more leeway with the 8 inch shot because it's no min 4-4-2-3 is a great range profile. But the other two definitely, especially the 1 inch, you got to be very careful where you're picking and planning to go.
Yeah, I mean, just to add on to that a little bit too, if anyone's caught our, RBF video, for example, like we talk about, when you have any warband that is high amount of numbers, high movement but low toughness, utilizing that weight action, right? This team does that very well, right? Same thing, right? 11 models, I could wait. My opponent usually has 8. I can move 5 or 6 if you use Riverblades, for example, right? When you go up against someone who's trying to bring a whole bunch of T3, T4, their one move is not even equal to one of your moves. They have to move twice to move as far or as you can go in just one move. So that's something we'll talk about a little bit when we start talking about kind of how they play on each mission. But do want to talk about some of the other guys they have here because the crest dancers, which you already said, really cool looking models, right? And these are also the ones that have that pseudo fly ability, which is something that's not to be underestimated, right? Just being able to say, all right, that wall doesn't really exist for me anymore. You're on a platform, cool. I don't have to climb up the platform. I could just jump up to that platform. But generally speaking, like kind of your take all comers unit, right? They're going to finish off weakened fighters. They'll be grabbing points. Uh,
Right.
as opposed to your chaff, they do have a 2 inch, 3 inch range. So you're gonna see this is aside from the 1 inch leader combo, this is kind of like the theme of the warband. You got these cheap stream runner chaff running in here, and you got the crest dancer or the river daddy as we're calling them, coming up from behind to make use of the opening those stream runners made.
Yeah, if you're looking where to go and what to do with this, my preferences in terms of the crest dancers, because they're too cool to not use, man. They're so sick looking. I am a big fan of 3 inch range. It gives you so much more leeway and you don't have to be engaged. And although you're crit fishing with it, 4414, not the worst. You're stymied by HP in this. Like, we can't control that. So, yet again, 3 inches is extra safe. It lets you, oh, they come up to you, they try to hit you, they don't kill you. Guess what? You disengage with Riverblades, you do damage. You run somewhere else, you do damage, or you disengage and then you swing at something else because you're 3 inch range. I think they're really sweet. The twin spears look awesome too. Really cool. 3-4-2-4 is not terrible, but the 3 inch range just gives a little bit more cushion for already something squishy. And I mean, like, I apologize if I'm repeating you. I don't. It's just the why do anything other than the crest blades,
I
right?
mean, I do have to say, like in this case, like when you have like that S4 on the twin spear and the rope
No, I know
sickle,
the
uh,
stream runners with the crest blades.
oh
I
yeah,
could see
stream
reasons for
runners.
the spears, like what build mix and match them, right? Like that's completely cool. You could do either or. My personal preference is the three, but the chaff, like they only give you the one stream runner with the crest blade. Just make them all crest blades. They're all crest blades, in your head.
Uh,
They tell them it's the same thing.
And the reason we say that, by the way, for those watching, right? Crest blades are the only one with that agile rune mark, meaning for that reaction they have on the one to do damage for the AoE effect, they have to be the crest blade over the river seal. And we also
Mm,
say that in the sense of try to run basically all crest blades because 4 attacks is straight up better than 3 attacks.
mm,
You're crit fishing with both anyway. And I would rather roll more dice for more chances of more
hmm
crits
hmm
then less dice for a crit that might do 1 more point of damage.
Right,
It makes a big difference when you're looking at these profiles. But
right.
the one thing I do want to say about the crest dancers before we move on is they are S4, and we do have a double and push them to S5. So 2, 3, 5, 2, 4 looks a lot better on a
I believe
double.
the double is for the leader only there, homie.
No, it's for just kidding, the leader only. So ignore that.
How to
Leader
play
only.
how to play incorrectly with Kyle.
Yes, with Kyle. Yes,
You
clearly,
you could also
Kyle.
use WOG and Fex still too. It's
Well, when we do Pyregeist, I'll make sure Rob makes the same mistake.
oh, don't worry, baby. I'm gonna be stone quiet. No, you're good. I thought it was originally for everyone too when I first saw it because the rune marks are so similar.
Well, honestly, things like that, by the way, is why it's important to read the rules, know your rules, and ask your opponent. Because even for guys who play an inordinate amount of time each week, we still make those
Right.
mistakes all the
All the
time.
time. All the
So
time.
just read that stuff. It's okay. You make the mistake, work with your opponent, take it
They
back, whatever you need to do. It's okay.
They can standing wave stance though. Everybody can do that. So they can go up to 4-5-2-4 or 5-5-1-4 with T5. So like if like you need to in a pinch to absolutely try and Hail Mary it, you can do that on them. And they're also again, they're super sweet looking, man. I think they're such cool looking models.
100%. But let's talk about them in missions, right? Like we already talked about their general strategy. They're fast, right? Any objective missions, take points, early leads, use your speed to block off slower people. You have the extra models. You can afford to lose a person or two, perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Being able just to really just as I'm joking, like flow like a river, but don't just run into their face. Flow around them, make them come to you, right?
Yeah.
Utilizing that speed and your numbers just to kind of play this dancing game is how you need to play them, right? If you're a person who likes to smork, might not be the team for you.
Yeah.
Person that likes to kind of annoy the person, sit on the edge, and then dash in for the kill at the last moment, it's going to be much more your alley for sure.
For sure.
But on objective missions, what do you think? Definitely neutral, right?
Neutral, like it's matchup dependent because there are sometimes just counting up to 11 is just better than somebody who counted to 6 or 7 and you're just going to steal points. You're just going to be like wait, okay, move everybody 5. I release the river, they're actually psych moving 8. I'm getting everywhere I need to be, and then you're spending a turn still walking at me. I'm disengaging and you completely control. Like it's just it is what it is. But on stuff that's like tight knit double cap brawling, you might have a lot of trouble there. You definitely want to avoid clumping and grouping like that. And releasing the river has not only usage for just the starting salvo, it's also really good in maybe mid game where you just absolutely need to fling people around. Like we're just going, you're not catching up, and that's it. You're just gonna walk into some wins that way, and I think that's completely fine. I think that's awesome. That like that is a strength is just having numbers in this game. And it used to frustrate me personally because I started off with destruction where I was just like, I want to throw dice. Why are you not throwing dice with me? And it's just like, but it's the play style, right? Like it is cool. Like we're planking, we're running in, we're getting a pick or like and exactly like Kyle, you said flow like a liver.
A liver,
Whoa,
yes.
flow like a liver,
This is
flow
now
like a
the corn team. We're flowing like the livers that we're cutting out
just
people.
oh
Okay.
my god. I just imagine them throwing like a knife and they get stuck in the liver. It sounds like a rough time. Flow like a river. Ooh. And then that was a tough one. And then it's a good time. I think it's a really cool high skill cap. You're definitely going to be on the weaker raw power side, So learning the fundamentals of the game and then playing to the mission is really going to make you better as a player, I believe, if you're playing something like this.
Which
What
to
do you
your
think
point
about?
makes I said, yeah, which to your point makes treasure missions kind of advantage for them, right? One,
Absolutely.
they have numbers, right? Numbers actually does matter on a treasure mission in a lot of cases because someone's got to hold the treasure. If you run out of bodies, can't hold treasure, right?
Right.
But release the river can straight up counteract the treasure
Hmm.
debuff. Right, you got trip sixes, throw down a +3 AoE aura, and you're just like, yeah, I don't care for -2 on treasure. I would even argue with the -2 going from move 5 to move 3, your Riverblade still pushes you up to 4 at that point because you could actually go up to 6 -2. So you'd still be fine in terms of
It's minus
movement.
3 on the treasure.
Why I'm off today. For those watching, I've been on vacation for the past like 2 weeks while we have no content out, and
Well, it makes
apparently my
sense though
brain is
because
fried.
you're not going below 3, so you're just minusing 2 off your initial speed. For those who are newer and saying like, why is he saying -2? It's that's the automatic math, right? I'm going from 5 to 3 because I can't go below 3, so it is -2 in that sense. But if you're at 5 and you +3 and then -3, you're staying at 5, which is kind of sick.
Well, it's
Or if
that's
you're
2 of the 3 mistakes I'm allowed before I'm kicked off the team. So that's
the
it's not
fact that
looking
I'm
good for me.
listen, if I haven't been removed, you're fine. You're safe. You're absolutely all good.
Uh,
I gotta step in to make sure people know though.
it is
But it's good though.
all a test. But kill missions don't look so good for these guys.
Ooh,
Yeah,
no.
just like Riverblades is great, being able to move, attack, disengage, and kind of get that damage down. And even like Lethal Gyre, being able to kind of, wreck your opponent on ones. They just can't brawl. T3, 8 wounds. You're gonna get shot off the board against anybody shooting, any big, as to your point, Stormcast. They're just gonna walk in there and just start hitting your face a lot. And the best thing you're going to be able to do is just utilize that weight action, stay out of range, use river rates to plank, and then just kind of gung rush them at the end and hope you're lucky on your crit spikes. And uh,
Pray.
little unfortunate from that standpoint, but this is why we're relying on the weight action and speed on those kill missions. So
It feels like a very like they wanted that order heavy, like almost like an RBF style, right? Like getting like because the Gore Squires have a 3-inch version of the Release the River, and but the thing is they're missing like a big impact like that pack tactics to burn. They don't
yeah.
have the action efficiency like a Baron. Right. So like if they had something like that, I think they'd be like over the top. Instead, they gave them a strictly better rush with an upside and a AoE buff to where like, hey, this leader is outstandingly good everywhere you put it, and then some. I really like there. I'm hard pressed to find a bad spot for it, other than it just being 205 to 210. But yeah, kill missions are tough, but that's okay. Listen, you can't be good at everything. If you're going into you're playing some buddies, play one on a objective and then play one on a kill. Like split it up. If you're going into a tournament and you're just new, you're taking a one box and you're looking to learn and you see the mission pack ahead of time and there's a lot of kill missions, you might be up for a bad time.
Yeah,
So
but that's with like that's with anything, right? Like
right.
just look at the pack, build of the pack. But we're here to talk about Riverblade. So
Right, right,
how do
right,
we
right.
deploy them on missions? That's my question.
You're going to be like water, right? Set up aggressively or defensively based on your opponents, right? Since your speed is a selling point, you have numbers, you can utilize weight, like Kyle's saying. You don't have to interact and engage, and you can interact by using river blades to get chip damage, get position. Like just taking a little dude and making him run 12 to somewhere. Like, oh, we're gonna go take the middle. Psych, I'm splitting out both ways. We're taking an ends, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then when you start moving to me, I'm gonna take the middle again. It's really just using that to leverage a lot of things will work. Like there's straight up just things that are not gonna catch you, right? Uh, you got to remember using Riverblades in the beginning or when you're doing cheeky disengages, like you got to weigh that against like onslaught and everything else. So just keep in mind what's going to be the most beneficial for you. And I think one of the most important things to remember is you don't have diverse roles in this warbands. A lot of warbands released had rolled fighters. This is my ranged fighter. This is my, debuffer. This is my support piece, like whatever it might be. This is just I have fast dudes. I have fast dudes with masks, and I have a really good like bricked up dude. And You got to remember to protect your leader and set up screens. You have to utilize your distance very importantly so everyone can fight over the little suspender boys. Lethal gyre them. Is it gyre or gyre?
I think it's Gyre.
It's
Like,
gyre. All right,
pretty sure it's
listen, put
Gyre.
it in the comments. Tell me I'm wrong and I don't know this language I'm
I
speaking.
also pronounce everything phonetically, so I'm probably
Yeah,
wrong. So
no,
that's
whatever. It's
highly
gyre.
likely.
You sold me on it. It was a hard take. So it's just like doing that and knowing that you can like get to fight back over things and get like incremental damage and then be able to burst out speed.
I I think your point though that incremental damage is so important. When you have 10 plus models, right? Most warbands have to kill you. They have to roll dice. Some of those dice are going to be misses. In that
Yeah,
case,
for
using
sure.
lethal gyre or using counter is just as good as using Riverblades at that point, right? Because
Right.
nothing feels better to me than when my little 65 point model counters or uses lethal gyre against like a
Mhm.
200 point model and halves its life because my opponent rolled bad. I'm just like, yep, it's a
Listen,
war cry.
100% right, Kyle. I at Adepticon, God bless my opponent. Awesome dude, was playing Iron Jaws, great guy. Went in with a mega boss, uh, whiffed on 6 dice, only hit twice on a steel helm, left the steel helm at 2. And that's 225 points, not killing 60 points. It's going to happen to these little elves. You're going to be like lethal gyre, and all of a sudden it's just boom, 6 damage. And then they're just like, okay, well, I got to kill it now. And then they're going to be like, they're going to do again. You're like, I guess I just do it because I'm going to die. And then they hit you, bring you down real low. And they still took like some counter, or they still took like a one or something like that. It's gonna happen, and I think like when you see that, you have to act like actively like work on that, and it's pretty awesome. You got to get comfortable with losing pieces because you're pretty much playing with ghouls. But like,
Yeah, yeah, like
right,
just to add on to that for sure, definitely like playing with ghouls. But I always
right,
try to tell people turn one. Oftentimes, who are just running around the board, usually not fighting over the bat. Sure, they might have Varangard, and I may be completely wrong, but
oof,
most games things aren't dying turn one, right? They're dying, 2, 3, and 4. And what I like to try to tell people is if someone has a 200 point model and you lose 3 60 point models fighting against that 200 point model, you're still 20 points cheaper than they are, right? You've tied up that opponent for 3 rounds in a row trying to take care of these 3 models with that 200 points. So I always don't try to think of like just model count, but I also try to think of points. So if your opponent spends 2 turns with a 200 point model trying to kill a 65 point model, you're probably going to end up winning that game. It's going to feel pretty good, right? And all you have to do is have them miss once. Not that bad. Not that bad. So it's just something to consider when you're playing this team as well is be comfortable losing stuff and just think of how many points you're spending versus how many points your opponent's
yeah,
spending in a certain
it's
fight.
true, it's true.
But
Uh,
let's get some examples. I want to see what
ooh,
this drive by is like because
the
this hurt
drive
this hurt
by.
me a lot.
So the drive by is pretty much just like any Riverblade can use Riverblades. It's really, really, really clever, right? You just increase your movement, you deal with damage. I put some of the new thrice fold on here because people should know what those are by at this point. Those are two big nasty Slaanesh demons that are ready to do some hurting, right? However, the quite portly shaped fellow at the bottom of the right, Vexmore, is only move 3. Your guys are all move 5. Riverblade's making a move 6. That guy should not be able to catch you. Even on his double, which his range is going to be 8 inches, you should be able to clear straight out. And guess what? You're pinging other things on the way out and getting set up wherever you need to. Right? So you use Riverblades to increase movement, deal damage while moving. Drive by, throw some knives and move aggressively to set yourself out of range for next turn while doing damage consistently to the enemy. It's on a 2-up. You're going to miss it once in a while. That's cool. It's just a bonus, man. It's just free real estate when you're moving.
I mean, I
And
also put in
then,
perspective too. Like
all right.
it's great because it's armor piercing, number one, but
Oh, yeah.
even if you're going up against other ghouls, right?
All right.
2 damage against another ghoul, that's a quarter of their life just
Mm-hmm.
because you moved. It's kind of sick, just like, yep, a quarter of your life gone just because I exist. Like that feels
Right.
great too.
Right, and it sets up things like, oh, I'm gonna attack the other guy behind the bamboo, Lassivere, right? Like he's only got 16 wounds and he's got T3, so if he gets close to anything that he can't kill, I'm gonna be able to swing back into it and do some damage. So you can obviously set yourself up for ways to get out of range and to get to safety with that. I really like the Riverblades is cool. It's a cool little Very flavorful movement trick. Also works on attacking and disengaging. Don't forget, just not waiting. Let's go to the
And
next
I
one.
also say, before we go to the
Oh, I'm
next one,
sorry.
one last thing is it will mess with your opponent's math because your opponent is going to say, for example, Lasavir, say it was already damaged a little bit, and say Lasavir sitting at 7 life, right? Lasavir is going to go in and attack, say, hey, if they want to use Lethal Gyre, I could take 2 1s before I die, right? Uh,
Right,
you ping that down to 6, suddenly 2 of them kills it versus 3 that would have been needed to kill it. So,
right,
like, you can mess with your opponent's math by just thinking about how much damage counter will do, or for example, if they go into your model and not kill you, how much damage you could do back, right? They're at
right.
3, plink him down to 1, suddenly you're going to probably counter them to death, right? It does make a difference. But I want to hear about the Ricky Bobby. Let's
Ooh,
go.
Ricky Bobby, you're first or you're last, right? We're gonna go fast. Also known as the Lightning McQueen scenario, right? We are Kerchowin. We need one or two doubles, and we need one tripper. Whoa,
Tripper.
triple.
Or Tripper and Gaz.
Higher value the better. We can't speak anything, right? This is our
Yeah.
we got that tripper down here. You got to be within 6 inches of the pure flood seneschal. That's the big fancy pants on top of the pole that you see with the 6 inch aura around them. And that is the inner circle is 6 inches. So we see you have a 555. So we know if you release the river, that's going to add 3 to everybody within 6 inches, right? So we can release the river and wait so we don't outrun our buddies because we know we can make the point with that 6. So we're going to move 6. We're going to make the point, and everybody else starting now, we can use Riverblades on 2 other people or 1 other person. Now all of a sudden they're going from 8, right? They're going to have 8 move. Riverblades, going to give them +1. They're going to have 9 move. You're going to have 18 inches on just little chaff. So the value of getting them into position where people think you couldn't is going to be really, really astoundingly fast. So all of a sudden it's, oh, I'm going to engage them in the next turn. Nowhere near. And you play wherever you want to play and how you want to play. You dictate the pace at that point. So it's really it's also, and you're pinging targets on the way, and you're moving into positions to keep you safe, and you're really just taking points. It's really cool. Yes, it does require a good value dice. It does require a couple doubles. You're probably going to use a wild die, but definitely worth it if you have it.
I mean, just add on to that too. If you had 2 triples, right? You theoretically go triple, give +3 move. You move up 5, use the other triple, like a 666, for example, get another +3 move. And then theoretically, if you're still in the bubble, you'd get +6 to your move.
Yeah, you'd have to do that, wait, and then come back and do it again, and then everybody in that bubble is just gonna go fast. And that way you're gonna have what a total, let's say like Dreamland +6, you're moving 12 with, or I'm sorry, you're moving
What
11 with one action, and then
And
everybody else is like,
theoretically, if you positioned right, because it's a bubble, so if you moved up 5, put them on the edge, that's a
right.
10-inch
So everybody
bubble.
else, yeah,
So it'd be 5 plus 6, move them up just to the edge of the bubble again. Theoretically, you could move like 22 with everyone if you did it right. I
it's
mean, that's
wild.
dreamland, but you could. You could.
It's wild. Next.
Yeah.
Dude, this
Y-
so this is cool. This is a very congested looking board. Ignore the spheres of the tabletop simulator telling us where we have control, right? So here's the scenario, right? And why I think these dudes are pretty cool is because their ability to get across the board and ping damages. So right now we're seeing a KMK with an allied Gut Lord and War Channa because this person's a maniac, and it's sweet looking. It was I think a shout out the Polar was cooking up some ideas of this. We have some low HP little gobos. They looking yummy, but they can also react, right? So we're going to keep that in mind. They can use the Cruel Boys Monster Killer reaction where they could possibly net you. We have ability dice. We have a triple one. We have a double, a single, and 2 wild dice. What do you do? How do you win and secure all the as many objectives as you possibly can? How do you prevent that that gut lord from going might makes right after he just clobbers something, right? So take a look at this. And I want to hear from people in the comments. I really want people to engage with us on this because I think this is a really cool exercise. Personally, I am looking at a couple of these dudes, and by these dudes, I mean you see the one guy, the suspender dude on the bottom in the middle of the screen. He can go move with the Riverblades, ping the one Gabo or the one little grot with the egg, put him down to one, move again, ping it down and kill it, put himself on the point to take control. So likewise, the other one up top can move down, ping, and take a swing at it. That way, he's not worried if he's rooted or I'm sorry, netted or anything else like that. You have the two chaff screening out your leader, where the gut lord is, who is the guy on the top left of the middle circle with the sword in the air, looking like a big ogre. And you can, what do you do with the triple then? Do we standing wave stance with our leader to try and burst him down and do as much counter damage as we can with that? Because he's going to kill. He's going to use a double to try and kill the other one. And then he's going to try to come after the leader. He's a 5'10 profile. He's got 3 attacks. He can do insane amount of damage and try to kill all 3 in one go. So I'd like to hear what you guys got to offer on this.
Yeah, I definitely, if I had to choose my first action, just throw my flavor out there.
Wait.
My my person up on the, yeah, normally be wait, but not this time. This time, they got my person on the platform up there. I'd use Riverblades, jump on down to the objective to the right, but
Mm-hmm.
ping the goblin in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
get him down to one, attack the goblin with 3 life left, which allow me to ping the other goblin again. I can kill both in one go. Take 2 people
Absolutely.
out with one single move and attack
And
action.
the cool
So,
part is if that attack fails, you can just ping him to kill him down, and the other person can ping on the way there. You have
oh
a lot
yeah,
of play with it. And remember that triple can also still be used as a double if you need the river blades. But right now it's a pretty cool deal. I'd like to
uh,
hear from what you guys think.
I know your YOLO Swaggins is you'd wait, make quad one, let him
Mm.
kill your 2 dudes, and just attack the ogre back like 70 times with their quad. I
Listen,
mean, that's
listen.
just the spice.
If you're not gambling, I don't know what you're doing in this game because this is ultimately a game of dice. And your math and your averages, you're not going to feel it in the moment. And you're going to say, man, I should have done something way cooler and tried to risk it for the biscuit. So let me know down in the
But
comments.
don't have to gamble with the box though. The box comes with a
Mm-mm.
lot of stuff. You got the Seneschal with the 3 different options. You got the Crust Dancer with a mix of both. You got 5 stream runners. Only weird part is you only get one that's got the Crust weapon, which allows the AoE gyre. Honestly, I think 90% of people aren't going to notice the difference. I would just tell your opponent it's one or the other. Make it easy. They're the same points cost. Or if you have a good idea on how to proxy a whole bunch of these, let us know. Always interested to figure out how to kit bash this stuff and save some people a quick buck. Uh,
Hot hobby, because I have the sprues and I was taking a look at them. If you use spears on the crest dancers, you could take the sickles from the rope and sickles, kind of remove them and kind of like doctor them on to the stream runners to give yourself more crest weapons. So you can kind of like out of the box try to give it a little bit more of that look that you want, but really it's up to you. I do recommend the glaive seneschal, or if you want to do what I did, I gave him a glaive in his main hand. I gave him a sai in the offhand, and then the knife daggers on the backpack, so I can play him as any 3 I want. It looks horrible. Don't do that, but it is safe. I can play anyone I want, and that's important. That way, I don't have to worry
you can always
about it.
put the daggers on the base too, right? And just like he's there, he just dropped them. I don't know what to tell you. He can
It's
pick
like
them
it's a
up
cool,
anytime
it's
he
a
wants.
cool. It looks like a Hawkeye quiver, but like spread out on the back. It's pretty cool. And like I mean, like it's whatever. He's master of weapons. They're all there. He's just gonna pull out what he needs. It's cool. The model still looks sick. It's just busy. And
I
the
would
crest dancer,
say
same things. Just mix them.
I would say though this team takes allies or is it ally really, really well. Like every time I look at this team, I'm just like, they have to work with the Daughters of Cain, right? They just like bathe in blood is triggered by any damage on the enemy. Bathe in
Yeah.
blood for those watching is +1 to their attack and +1 to strength. So just go
For the
Riverblades,
for the
ping them for
turn.
one.
So
Yeah, yeah.
it's not just one attack. It's for both activations as long as there's one damage on there. And Riverblades does that.
So yeah, Riverblades ping, then you just bathe in blood and you just reap in all the benefits of that sweet
Oh yeah.
double. Just goes together really well. But they also have the speed boost, right? So an Annihilator Prime gives you that tankiness the team's lacking, gives you that firepower that you want, and you can just move them around as you want. But Overall, just really excellent theme models. I have a full Harlequins army in 40K, so yeah, obviously I like them because it gives me those vibes of the sculpts and poses leaping off stuff. But definitely lacking in diversity. Definitely
Yeah,
lacking
I think that's
diversity.
that's the only thing that really makes my butt chaffed is that there's just a lack of role diversity in. It's just I have fast dudes, and then I have fast dudes with suspenders. I have fast dudes with masks, and then I have one big fast dude on a pole. And don't get me wrong, the sculpts are sick. If elves are your themes, and then you're also into like the water theme, it's got some horse iconography on the helmets. It's super cool. Definitely recommend it, especially what you're saying, Harlequin vibes all over it. But the lack of diversity is the only thing that I can like really truly grunt about. Right? I put 10 models to paint. It's 11 in the box. Um, but I really don't think they're too terrible because it's a lot of stones and robes that take well and just basic like textures. It's not overwhelming. But please fix the elf problems, GW. Like let an elf breathe, you know?
Yeah, but that being said, those watching, like, I wouldn't regret buying a box of these guys. Besides,
Not at
like
all.
them being really cool, like at the absolute worst, you're gonna have a primo team with a primo ally leader. And honestly, their chaff at 65 points, move 5, it's still a good base, right? Even if you are gonna heavily bring in allies for whatever reason, like the team is still really solid on its own and takes allies really well. So
Yeah,
I
it's
still think
sick.
you'd have a lot of fun with them.
It's a cool warband too to watch yourself grow. Like you're gonna be behind in a lot of like the initial thoughts of like how do I fight? How do I win? How do I kill treasure hunters out of this, right? Like there's a lot of things that are gonna be problematic, but like you can learn to grow and say, how can I use what I have and the tools on hand? And if you love it and you're super excited to paint it, play it. Put the box out, paint it. I own a box. I think they're cool. As soon as I see the rules for narrative, I'm going to see if I want to bring them the narrative to Nova. Let's take a look. I hope it's awesome. Like it is what it is, man. And I think it's a great box. It some people were really down on it because the power levels weren't like the boxes in November's with the Wilder Core, the Gorger Maw Pack, Vulcan Flame Seekers, and Monster Killers. That was like a renaissance of power for us. It was insane, but you can't like if you're just pumping that all the time, it's not going to be as exciting either. And honestly, like it's cool. I think this is a perfectly good warband. If this is the entrance you want to get in there, it's cool. As long as you don't think you're going to go in there and beat people up. You're going to go in there and run laps around people and throw knives and jump off stuff and have a good time.
I mean,
Go
all
do
I'm
it.
saying is I've never been a player that's wanted to play the best thing on the block. I played K-Night Shadow Stalkers for a long time, which are not the best team out there. Really fun team to play, though, to Job's point. Like, if you want to show off your skills, how good you are at this game, definitely team for you. But
Oh, for sure.
think that about wraps it up for the Riverblades.
Yeah,
So I would say, number one, please be a hero. Don't be a chaff. Like and subscribe. Really, that
please.
motivates us to keep doing these. We love teaching. We love getting these videos out there. And most of all, we love hearing from you. So leave a
Yeah.
comment down below. 100%. Uh, anything for you, Rob?
Just be a hero. Don't be a chef. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, please.
All right. Well, great way to know. Kyle and Up signing off.
Girth Demon gonna tuck you in the bed 99.
Good night.